He thought the man near the dairy aisle looked suspicious. He squared up, ready to flex his badge. But what he didn't know, that suspicious guy was an undercover FBI agent, seconds away from closing a 6-month investigation. What happens next will shock you and everyone watching. The late afternoon sun dipped low over Chestnut Plaza, casting a golden haze across the parking lot of Dunham's Market. The place was busy, moms grabbing groceries, teens loitering near the Redbox machine, and tired workers picking up dinner on the way home. Among them, a man in plain clothes leaned casually against a brick pillar near the store entrance. Athletic build, buzzed hair, aviators tucked in his collar. Nothing about him screamed suspicious, unless you were looking for something to judge. Officer Cole Hadley was. Fresh off his shift and still in full uniform, Cole had stopped by the store for an energy drink and maybe a snack. He told himself he was off duty, but the badge still clung to his chest like a second skin, and his hand never drifted far from his belt. He liked being seen, liked the little nods of deference from the public, liked the power, and he noticed the man immediately. No cart, no bag, no real movement. Just standing, watching. Cole's cop instinct kicked in, or rather, his assumption did. He walked a slow loop inside, pretending to scan the chip aisle, but really keeping an eye on the stranger from behind a display of party cups. The man didn't buy anything, didn't look nervous, but he wasn't doing what Cole thought a normal shopper should do. That's all it took. Cole adjusted his utility belt and walked toward the exit where the man now stood near the automatic doors. His steps grew firmer, louder. He approached with authority, shoulders squared. "Something I can help you with?" he asked, voice sharp but controlled. The man glanced at him calmly, unfazed. Cole didn't know it yet, but the man he was trying to intimidate wasn't just anyone. He was about to learn the hard way. Officer Cole Hadley squared up beside the man, who didn't flinch or step back. That irritated Cole immediately. He was used to civilians reacting, nervous glances, quick explanations, a shift in posture. But this man simply looked at him, calm, like he'd been expecting a confrontation. Cole narrowed his eyes. "You've been standing out here for a while, not buying anything, just watching people. Got ID on you?" The man raised an eyebrow. "Am I doing something illegal?" That annoyed Cole even more. He hated being questioned. "Answering a question isn't illegal either," Cole replied sharply. "You match a description. We've had reports of suspicious activity around here, people casing stores for robberies." The lie came easily. It wasn't the first time he'd used it to justify a stop. The man didn't move. "That's interesting," he said slowly, "because I've been here for less than 5 minutes, and I haven't spoken to anyone, haven't touched anything." Cole took a step closer, his voice lowering. "I asked for ID. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Shoppers began to take notice. A woman pushing a stroller slowed down as she exited. A man grabbing a cart hesitated near the entrance. No one intervened, but eyes were watching. The man finally reached into his jacket, slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a wallet. He flipped it open. Cole reached for it but paused when he saw what was inside, a federal badge, glinting in the light. Special Agent Marcus Hale. FBI. Cole blinked. "Now," Marcus said coolly, "unless you've got probable cause or a warrant, I suggest you step back. You're interfering with an active federal operation." Cole's stomach tightened. This wasn't a casual shopper. This wasn't someone he could push around. He'd just harassed a federal agent, in public, and people were already filming. Cole Hadley stood frozen for a beat, the gleam of the FBI badge searing into his confidence like acid. His mouth moved, but no words came out at first. The moment felt stretched, surreal. The man he thought he was schooling had just flipped the table, calmly, professionally, and with an authority that outranked his own. "You expect me to believe that's real?" Cole finally said, voice low but sharp. "Anyone can buy a badge online." Agent Marcus Hale didn't flinch. "You're welcome to call your precinct, or better yet, ask your commanding officer if there's a task force operating in this district." His tone was razor calm, like someone who had danced this dance before and always came out ahead. More people were watching now. A teenager by the gumball machine angled his phone deliberately. A mother with 2 kids by the snack aisle was whispering to her oldest, eyes darting between the 2 men. The automatic doors hissed open and shut, but no one stepped in between them. The air was thick with silent judgment. Cole doubled down. If you're on an operation, why are you out in the open? No comms? No backup? Marcus gave him a small, sharp smile. Because I was tracking someone inside the store, someone we've been following for weeks. She's involved in a federal fraud ring, and she was about to make a drop. Until you walked up, loud, aggressive, and completely uninformed, and she vanished. Cole's jaw tensed. You could have said something. I did, Marcus replied. You didn't listen. The crowd shifted. A man clearing his throat behind a produce display added to the tension. The unspoken reality hung in the air. Cole had misjudged the moment, and worse, misused his authority. The room had turned, and the badge on his chest no longer felt like power. It felt like weight. Before Cole could fumble out another defensive comment, another figure stepped through the sliding doors of Dunham's Market. She moved with precision, no hesitation, no wasted motion. Dressed in plain jeans and a fitted navy blouse, she wore no badge on her chest, but her posture spoke volumes. Alert, confident, measured. Marcus, she said calmly, walking up to the pair. You good? Marcus nodded once. I am now. Cole shifted, instinctively stepping back a half step. And you are? The woman held up a leather badge wallet, flipping it open mid-step. Special Agent Brielle Torres, FBI. I'm Hale's partner. Her voice was crisp, professional. And you, officer, just interfered with a federal surveillance operation that took weeks to coordinate. Cole glanced between the two agents, his own badge suddenly feeling like a child's toy. I didn't interfere, he said defensively. I was doing my job. He looked suspicious. Torres's eyes didn't blink. And based on that suspicion, you walked up mid-op and drew attention to a surveillance subject? She didn't look like anyone special, Cole muttered. Torres arched an eyebrow. You didn't even know who the suspect was, or that we were here. Yet you walked in with your chest out and your assumptions louder than your judgment. The crowd was still growing. Quiet, yes, but present. Phones were still rolling. A man near the lotto machine was recording subtly with his phone pressed to a soda bottle. A manager behind the customer service desk had stopped ringing up returns. The store was no longer a market. It was a stage. Marcus folded his arms. We've lost visual on the target. She slipped out while you were profiling me. Cole opened his mouth, but Torres cut him off. We're filing a report, and trust me, this won't be internal. Your name, badge number, and conduct are now part of a federal case file. The weight of her words hit hard. For the first time, Officer Hadley looked unsure. Not angry, not defiant. Just exposed. The tension in Dunham's Market was now impossible to ignore. The humming buzz of carts and checkout scanners had faded. Eyes were everywhere, some curious, some disappointed, all watching the uniformed officer who had clearly overstepped. Officer Cole Hadley clenched his jaw. He could feel the eyes burning into his back, could see the camera lenses barely disguised by snack bags and soda bottles. His heart thudded, but he tried to hold his composure. I was responding to what I saw, he muttered, trying to salvage the moment. That's what we're trained to do. If someone's acting off isn't probable cause, Agent Torres said sharply. Especially not when the person in question wasn't doing anything but standing still. Agent Hale stepped forward now. His voice was measured but tight with frustration. Her name is Jada Lynn. She's a key courier for a benefits laundering ring operating across 3 states. We were tailing her for a face-to-face pass, cash for fake IDs, all caught on surveillance. He paused. She saw you confronting me. That was her exit cue. Hadley's throat tightened. How do you know she saw? Torres cut him off. Because we just checked the footage. From behind them, a young store employee wearing a red apron approached, hesitant. She looked about 19 and held a tablet in her hands. Excuse me, she said, glancing between the agents and Hadley. I pulled this from the north camera feed. Your suspect. She saw the commotion and ducked into the frozen aisle, then slipped out the side door. She turned the screen. A grainy but clear image showed a woman in a grey hoodie with a red tote bag glancing toward the confrontation. Her face changed, just a flicker of alarm, and then she turned and vanished behind a freezer section. Hadley stared at it. The agents didn't gloat. They didn't need to. The footage did all the talking. Cole Hadley felt the ground slipping beneath him, but pride kept him upright. He crossed his arms and squared his stance, trying to mask the flush crawling up his neck. All right, so maybe I interrupted something, he said, voice clipped. But if you're running federal surveillance in my district, I should have been informed. Torres shot him a look that could cut glass. This wasn't a joint task force, it was covert, need to know only. And Officer Hadley? She leaned forward slightly, lowering her voice. You didn't need to know. Marcus Hale stayed quiet, arms folded, eyes fixed on Hadley like a surgeon gauging a wound. Behind them, the young store clerk still stood awkwardly, unsure if she should leave or stay. Several shoppers had dispersed, but not all. A couple by the floral section pretended to smell bouquets, but their ears were locked on the scene. Hadley pressed. So what now? You lost your target. You gonna write me up like it's all my fault? It is your fault, Marcus said plainly. We were 5 minutes from making a soft intercept. A team was staged at both exits, vehicle IDs confirmed. We had surveillance coverage across the lot. Everything. He gestured to the tablet the clerk still held, and she bolted because you saw someone you didn't like the look of and decided that was enough to act. You want to talk about jurisdiction? Torres added. Let's talk about misuse of authority. Let's talk about what happens when a uniform substitutes instinct for protocol. Cole's shoulders tensed, fists subtly balling at his sides. Don't lecture me on how to do my job. We don't have to, Marcus said. You did that to yourself. The words landed like a punch, not loud but precise. And Cole realized then, this wasn't just a misstep, it was a report, a record, something permanent, something with consequences. The store clerk, still clutching her tablet like it was radioactive, finally cleared her throat. I also downloaded the footage onto a flash drive, just in case you needed it for your report. Her voice trembled slightly. Agent Torres took the USB gently, her tone softening for the first time. Thank you. You did the right thing. The girl nodded and quickly walked away, leaving Cole standing with the agents exposed. The reality was settling around him like lead. This wasn't going away. The feds weren't just irritated, they were documenting everything. And the worst part, the crowd had witnessed it all. Phones still hung by people's sides, some still quietly recording, others already uploading. Cole tried to shift the narrative. Look, maybe I came on strong, but from the outside it didn't look right. He was just standing there. No bag, no list, no purchases. Most people don't do that unless they're waiting for something. Exactly, Marcus said, eyes narrowed. He was. For the target, Torres added, you think real surveillance looks flashy? You think we're out here with wire vans and earpieces like in the movies? She shook her head. Real work is boring. Long hours, patience, silence, everything you disrupted with your entrance. Cole stayed silent, his face tightening. He looked toward the entrance, where the store manager now stood, arms crossed, also watching. Everyone had seen how this unfolded. It wasn't like he could yell his way out of it. He wasn't the hero of the story anymore. Then Torres dropped the final blow. There's footage of everything, from the moment you approached Agent Hale to the exact second our suspect bailed. You won't be able to write your way around that. Marcus nodded. And believe me, that footage won't be edited. Cole didn't respond. He didn't have to. The silence and the weight of evidence said it all. Marcus Hale and Brielle Torres stepped aside toward the end of the dairy aisle. Behind them, Officer Cole Hadley remained planted in place, arms crossed, jaw set. The crowd had thinned, but the damage lingered. The tension that once vibrated through the store was now a thick film of embarrassment, on Hadley's shoulders and across every phone that had captured his mistake. Torres tapped her earpiece. Control, this is Agent Torres. Surveillance compromised at Dunham's Market. Target exited through north side entrance approximately 10 minutes ago. Visual lost in parking lot. Requesting review of nearby traffic cams. A voice crackled back. Copy. Plate scan in progress. Stand by. Marcus rubbed his temples. We had her. Do you understand how many hours went into that? How many reports, how many cities we trailed her through, and now, poof, gone. Jada Lynn doesn't just get spooked, Torres said quietly. She reacts fast only when she smells something official. She clocked him the moment he squared up with you. Marcus shook his head. All he saw was a man standing near a door. That was enough. Torres lowered her voice, glancing back toward Hadley. It wasn't about the job. It was about the ego. He thought someone didn't belong, and he needed to remind the room who had the badge. That truth stung more than anything, not just because it was accurate, but because it was common. Too common. The earpiece crackled again. Control to Delta Team. Target vehicle left the lot northbound. No plates registered. Possible burner. We'll widen the search. Marcus sighed. We won't see her again. Not this week, maybe not this month. Torres turned toward him, voice steadier. We write the report, we document what happened, and we hold the badge accountable, his, not ours. Behind them, Hadley finally moved, walking slowly toward the exit, shoulders hunched, no swagger left. He wasn't in charge anymore, and he knew it. In the unmarked Bureau SUV parked across the lot, the air was still. The tension of the last 30 minutes hadn't faded, it had just hardened into focus. Marcus Hales sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, staring blankly at the dashboard while Torres typed on her tablet, logging the report in real time. Agent Hale, came the voice through the vehicle's intercom system. Agent Shields is on the line. Patching her in. Marcus nodded, tapping a button on the console. Go ahead, Shields, Torres said. Special Agent Miriam Shields' voice came through, calm but firm. I got your initial message. Surveillance failure? Yes, ma'am, Torres confirmed. Suspect identified visually in store. Target entered through east entrance. Contact was minutes away. Operation compromised by a uniformed local officer. Name, Cole Hadley, Chestnut Division. Marcus leaned forward. He initiated contact with me. No provocation, no probable cause. I showed ID. He escalated. Agent Torres intervened, but the distraction was enough. Our target slipped. There was a long pause on the line. And you have evidence of this? Shields asked. Torres clicked her stylus and turned the tablet toward Marcus. On the screen, freeze frames of Hadley approaching, the confrontation, the suspect ducking behind the frozen aisle, and finally the exit footage. Multiple angles. Store security pulled the feed. Public filmed it too, half a dozen phones at least. Shields exhaled. We'll need full documentation. Video, timestamps, witness statements if available. It's all coming together, Torres said. But Hadley's not new to this. That's what makes it worse. He wasn't green. He was arrogant. I'll be contacting his precinct supervisor personally, Shields replied. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. This was obstruction. Marcus looked out the window. Across the parking lot, Hadley now leaned on the trunk of his cruiser, head low, talking into his radio. No swagger, no righteousness, just a man slowly realizing what he'd done. Let's make sure the paperwork tells the full story, Shields added. And Marcus, good restraint, both of you. Torres glanced at him. Marcus didn't respond, just nodded once. They had lost the target, but this time the badge would answer for it. The sun was dipping lower now, casting long shadows across Chestnut Plaza. Shoppers had mostly moved on. A few lingered by their cars, pretending to scroll through their phones, but they were still glancing at the patrol cruiser across the lot. Inside the SUV, Agent Torres closed the tablet with a quiet click. Reports filed. Store managers backing our account. So is the assistant on surveillance. Marcus nodded slowly. We've got the timeline locked. Audio, visual, even civilian footage. Torres looked out toward Officer Hadley, still slumped against the trunk of his car. You think he understands what he did yet? Marcus considered that. He understands that he got caught. That's not the same as understanding the why. A beat passed. Neither of them spoke for a moment, just the quiet hum of the SUV engine and the weight of the day pressing in. People talk about law enforcement like it's one team, Torres said finally. But moments like this, they remind me, it's not the badge that unites us, it's the intention behind it. Marcus looked over at her. Hadley wore his badge like a weapon. We wear ours like a responsibility. Torres gave a small nod. And responsibility means knowing when not to act, when to observe, when to think before moving. Across the lot, Hadley finally got into his cruiser. He didn't slam the door, didn't roar off. He just sat there, staring out through the windshield, his hands at 10 and 2. For once, he wasn't in charge. Not of the narrative, not of the outcome, not even of the memory people would take home with them. Marcus watched quietly. He thought he could size me up, dominate the moment, turn presence into power. But the moment sized him instead, Torres said. As Hadley pulled out of the lot, slowly the weight of everything he'd done, everything lost, trailed behind him. The operation was over, the suspect was gone. But the lesson? That was permanent. When ego wears a badge, even justice can be delayed. If this story made you think twice about judgment and authority, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more powerful real-life encounters that flip the script.